What's happening, Convicted Mindset fam? I have with me this week two incredible humans, the shepherds of men, not literal shepherds, although they may look good in a little cloak with a tiny little cane with some sheep in front of them. Totally separate topic. These two guys, as a matter of fact, are redefining masculinity and calling men to something greater. Sounds great, super pithy, guaranteed they paid their wives or somebody in the marketing world to make that up. However,
no doubt,
you guys are going to light your world on fire, and I'm grateful to have them. JP, Cam, welcome to the show, brothers.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Dude. Yeah, appreciate you having us on. Yeah, that actually was pretty catchy. I'm gonna give our wives credit on that too. They're just smarter than us,
bro. I mean, I come on. 9/10 of my success happened the day that I married my wife.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, what's the whole thing about the success only comes with struggle? So, I mean, I love my wife, but damn, it's hard being married. So she makes me better every day.
That's the truth. How long you been married?
9 years last Wednesday.
Okay. How about you, JP?
I am working on 9 years this year, September.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, next year will be a decade for us. So
I got you both beat coming in at 15.
There you go.
Good for you, man. That's
JP's
awesome.
figured out how to be more productive than me, though. They got more babies.
Yeah.
I mean,
four babies.
Yeah. Well, I'm done though, so you got a chance to catch up. Cam.
The hell you say?
I finally figured out what was causing it, so we're done.
You got a new mailman?
Yeah. Well, the milk guy. You guys don't get milk anymore?
Stop that DoorDash ordering so much.
I thought it was weird too when she told me the milkman was coming. I don't know.
You're like, I don't know. It's just bizarre. There's 4 or 5 deliveries a day.
It's really hot outside. Is he really just gonna don't make him leave the milk outside? Tell him to bring it in.
Bring it in. Put it in the fridge. Code.
Really nice guy though. Real nice guy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm sure he's got a heart of gold.
He comes to all my kids' birthdays. It's really strange.
Oh, good. All right. Well, so let's dive into it. What Shepherds of Men? What is the movement? How did it start?
You want me to take it, JP?
Yeah, Cam, I'll let you jump on it here, and then I'll come in afterwards.
You wrap it up, clean it up a little bit, church it up for the nice people. All right, so we kicked off Shepherds of Men back in 2019. It was kind of started with a group of, there was 4 of us that had just become close friends, like brothers, and I mean that in the most genuine, sincere way. We're super close. Our wives are close. Our kids are close. We're just one big happy family, and we're a lot of fun, if you can't tell by now. And we just like-minded dudes having a lot of conversations about shit that really hit home with us about where, as a society, we were missing it as men. And it wasn't a bitch session. Maybe there was times probably where it was a little bit, but it turned into these more in-depth conversations and want to hold each other accountable to not falling into that same trap. We'd been on personal growth plans for a long time. We had been mentored by people that had a lot of success in all areas of their life, not just financial. And we were having these conversations. One of the guys, his name's Chris, said, we should record this and start a podcast. And, we're those ready, aim, fire. Fire, aim, ready. I can't even say it right. Fire, aim, ready dudes that we told you this the other night. We tend to just bite off more than we can chew sometimes, or we just figure out how to get sharper teeth. And so we started a podcast literally out of thin air. It was just us for the first year plus. And then we started having some local guests on, some guys that we respected that were good family men, successful entrepreneurs, things like that. And then that turned into really getting into this space of, high achievers, influential dudes like yourself, Travis, that have created movements of their own. And honestly, just kind of like it went from kind of something that was cool to started growing very rapidly. We started having listeners that were saying, hey, this is awesome content, but how can we go deeper? And essentially we've said, that's a really great question. We don't know how you can, but we ended up creating a men's coaching program. We created a live event format. We're actually about to have our second live event coming up August 20th, which you'll be coming in to guest speak. We're really grateful for that. And it has just turned into this whole full-on movement. And again, from along the way, we were joking about adversity creating success, but along the way, of the 4 of us, One of the Chris's moved on to some other endeavors. We're still great friends, still connected. And then the other Chris Wilson, he passed away last September. He was a great friend of ours, brother, gone way too early in our opinion, but it's not our plan. It's God's plan. And quite frankly, it caused JP and I to get really serious about what we're doing and making sure not only were we leaving a great legacy of our own for our children, but making sure that his story and his legacy was heard and passed on, because he was a special dude and he deserves it. And he had a heart of gold. So anyways, that's kind of the long and short of it.
I like that. JP, answer this question for me. What does it mean when we get the men right, we get the world right?
Well, it all starts with leadership, right? Everything rises and falls on leadership. We believe that influence is key to that. So a big part of where, I mean, we were kind of, I guess, raised in our adulthood, and what we saw that was factual was the fact that strong, influential men can make a gigantic difference in society. And that doesn't, and here's the thing, this is where we don't want people to get things mixed up, because this is where the whole thing started. You know, from a masculinity standpoint, it was vilified, right? Like, oh, if you're masculine, you're a villain. Well, the fact of the matter is, a true masculine male embodies a lot of great qualities, which fosters change in society. And we believe that like wholehearted, you know, and there was a lot of things that were in our brains, as Cameron was talking about. We've been on personal growth journeys for over a decade, and kind of working together in it and stuff. And what we realized is, like, we need to be vocally self-critical, because when we say men, we're including ourselves in that conversation. Mm-hmm. Because let's be honest, a lot of the stuff that we've seen happen in society, a lot of the bad stuff has been because good men stood back, right? The old statement, you know, that evil succeeds when good men do nothing. And that started to hit home. And I'll tell you, one of the craziest things for us early on that we started talking about is we got on a whole podcast about put your cart up, like your shopping cart, put your shopping cart up. And what's so crazy is it's the little things. It's the little things that make the big difference, right? When everybody is doing the little things right, now all of a sudden there's a huge change and a huge shift. It ain't one person that's just unbelievably incredible. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. They can create a movement. They can inspire people to do things, but it's the little things that every single man is responsible for. And that's one of the things that we want to get across to all men out there, right? So we didn't want to necessarily pigeonhole ourselves, but it was like the level of integrity, right? Like the stuff that, and then on the flip side of that, being able to call men out in those situations, and not in an asshole kind of fashion, but a matter of, hey, you want me to take care of that cart? I'll get it. I'll put it up. I got some time. You seem like you're in a hurry, you know, and not to be a dickhead or anything like that, but just to let him know, like, the next time you walk out here, he's going to go, that was uncomfortable. I'm just going to put it up.
We live in a world where people let people get away with shit, and it's we're way past where that's okay. And men need to hold other men accountable. That's the truth of the matter, even for little stuff like that, because if you let the little stuff slide, then the big stuff will slide. If you don't sharpen the pencil, you're going to hit an iceberg.
Yeah. And it's always the little stuff in any facet, right? In any facet of your life. You know, I talk about a lot about money and finance and business. And so most people think that there's some secret sauce and some recipe out there for success. And I remember many moons ago sitting in an MBA course, and the professor said, this is simply it. 9 out of 10 businesses fail. And you can fall into one of two categories, fellas. You can either be the guy that says, I can't do this 9 times in a row. I can't be publicly shamed. I can't file 9 bankruptcies. Or you can wake up and be the guy that says, I can't wait to fail 9 times. That's it.
Amen to that.
Mindset, baby.
That's it. It really comes down to that. So a lot of the stuff that you guys focus on, you know, faith, family, finance, you know, fitness, all sorts of F words, depending on whether JP's fired up or not. But
definitely not fine, though.
No, we don't use that one.
We can't use fine.
We've gotten so much feedback on that in a good way.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. We're miracles. We really are. 400 trillion to 1. Like we have to. Nothing's more exciting to me. And I use that sentence with like 300 lifer inmates in the middle of a prison yard. Stop using the F word. And like the whole place stops. You're like, what?
That's to tell me to stop using the F word.
So what I want to focus on for a brief moment, not get too deep with y'all, because I love it. I was with a guy last night and talking with him, and he said, you know, I started out on this journey and it had these big monumental goals, you know, 7 figures and 66 pounds. And he said, I just needed the one foot in front of the other. But before I could put one foot in front of the other, I had to have faith. And he said, how do you develop that faith? And so that's an interesting conversation that I want you guys to chat about real quick. Give these people that are listening, because everyone knows I'm spiritual, I'm religious, all the above. And I think, having based on where I've been and where I've come through, it can't be but a higher power. And so a lot of the tenets that you guys talk about have a faith-based component to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're very open about our faith. We're both Christians, very proud of that fact. And we also, if you ever listen to our podcast, the beginning of it, we also say we're a secular movement, because we understand, as you do, and what you do with Convicted Mindset, is you're working with people that are from all different walks of life, all different experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what we didn't want to do early on was unintentionally close the door to someone's heart and mind because they pigeonholed us. Quite frankly, even the Shepherds of Men thing, sometimes as we were developing our actual program, that's why we created the brand of Men Reforged, is because it kind of pulled away from that a little bit, just so people weren't getting confused that we were trying to just going to church you to death. Yeah. Because the fact is, we're the dudes that love Jesus, but we do say the F word, and not the fine one. Yep. It's about where our heart is. But yes, there's a huge piece
Jesus
of
flipped tables when it was time to flip tables.
Yeah.
And we're at a pivotal point, we believe, in society where it's time to start flipping some table.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cam, didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're right on track. But Travis, to answer your question, yes, faith is a big piece of what we do. We 100% believe that we wouldn't be where we are, and we have a long ways to go. But our vision for our movement and our vision has come from our Creator. We know this is something that we've been called to, and that we are being equipped for, and will continue to be equipped. And just the relationships alone that have been created since the beginning of 2022 is something that we never in a million years, like if we look at our Rolodex now and we looked at it 12 months ago, we'd be like, we don't even know who half these people are, much less are they going to know who we are, And so to think that just happened by accident is insane. So we're very vocal about what we believe, and we pray that others come to find faith, through something that we're saying or doing or whatever.
No, I believe you 100%. And so I kind of dive into this stuff a little bit too deeply, and I enjoy it, but I think there's so much interesting. I just did this kind of deep dive into Job. And when you really dive into, the four friends that were with him through his lifetime, the first three kind of had a good week with him, and then they just really judged him. But the fourth one really stuck with him and was there with him through the trial, through the adversity. And so I kind of have this gospel according to Travis moment where I think we all knew the crap that we were going to go through and endure when we were here on earth in our mortal walk. We knew the people we were going to come across. We knew the adversity we were going to face. We knew that there was going to be cancer. There was going to be adultery. There was going to be all sorts of negative things that would happen. But the journey, and then what was on the other side of the journey, was so beautiful that the adversity was worth it. What's your thoughts?
I think everything great is hidden behind adversity and fear. I'm a firm believer when we talk about this with success and high achievement, and why it's in a exponential graph, right? So if you look at success in any kind of realm, whether it's relationships, whatever it is, it's an X squared kind of function. Every day you make deposits, it continues to grow. But the caveat here is there's going to be a time of, you can call it pain, suffering, whatever it may be, but it's a matter of you making deposits without having that return or delayed gratification. And a lot of people's, we just spoke about this in a previous one. But as you continue to grow, if you can withstand that, I don't want to call it suffering, because I think suffering is kind of a choice, but pain and intentionality and forging in your path, then eventually God's going to go, he's ready. And then you become an overnight success. And that's where people, I think a lot of people miss it. They see the success, they see the victory, but they don't see everything that went into it beforehand. There's a long time of no results. And then all of a sudden it just goes whoop. And that's what I always try to, especially when we're talking to the youth, right? That's one of the biggest things that we try to get across to the youth. Like, don't get weary in well doing. Like, if you're putting the work in every single day and you're staying consistent with everything that you need to do, it may not be comfortable. Like getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning to get a workout is not comfortable. But if you continue to do that, and what happens is you start seeing those success curves. And some of that requires tenacity on the front end. Some of it just requires tenacity in the association, right? Like if your association is right, they hold you accountable, right? Those people are like those days that you're like, I'm not going to get up today. I might skip the 5 a.m. workout. Then you got a phone call from a guy that you're working out with. It's like, hey, dude, we hitting the gym in the morning. You're like, yeah, I am. So your association will carry you into a higher level of confidence. That higher level of confidence will start to develop a really strong faith. And then the success comes after that. When the success comes, the next time faith needs to roll in, it's even stronger than what it was before. So it's a cyclical thing, right? And if you can get that wheel rolling, that's called Big Mo, baby. That's when everything starts getting great.
Love that analogy, man. And you're right. And most of us at the moment live on this 15-second highlight reel, that comes through this stupid iPhone at the moment. And we think that's reality. And it's just not.
It's not.
It's just not. You talk with all these guys and their overnight success took about a decade.
Yeah. We had a conversation with a private school just recently. We were very fortunate to speak to, and that was a big point of emphasis, right? Like understand, like don't beat yourselves up when you look at somebody that's really successful, because when you're young and you're broke and you don't really have anything, you start looking at all these other people, you start thinking that I need to have it overnight, right? Because somebody's got an Instagram photo in front of a car that they leased with a girl they begged to stand next to them, right? The guys that actually have that stuff, that actually own it, there was a long ways that he had to make sure that he was the right guy to attract the right girl, right? The right girl doesn't just come into your life. She's not just there unless you become the man that deserves that woman, right? Like that. And it's same thing with finances and everything else. I mean, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success in a lot of cases. And most of the time we pose the question, are you willing to do the stuff in private that one day will make you a public success? Because if you're not willing to, then stop worrying about being a public success. Stop beating yourself up. There's no reason to beat yourself up if you're not putting the work in and if you're not staying consistent.
I love that. Yeah,
I think it goes to the, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Well, I was going to say, I think it goes back to the intentionality that you were talking about. And he's 100% spot on. Is the fact of the matter is, and I'll kind of hit on a couple of things we've been talking about. The fact of the matter is, what we believe is, as a dude, as a man, you are a leader. You were created to be a leader. You don't have a choice in that matter. It doesn't matter if you want to be, or if you don't want to be, you're a leader. I told a 14-year-old that the other day. He was the oldest one in this after-school program that I went to and got asked to speak at or whatever. And I was like, listen, bro, they're all looking at you. I don't care whether you want to be the leader in the room. You're the leader in the room. So you have a responsibility to be intentional about the things that you're doing, not just the things you're doing in front of everyone, the things that you're doing in private, like JP was talking about. And we have this culture now of males that have yet to become men because they're so worried about stuff that's hard, stuff that's inconvenient, things that, I'm probably not going to accomplish this anyways because, it takes too much effort. Well, the truth is, or if it doesn't happen overnight, then I'm discouraged. So I'm going to go sit my fat ass on the couch and eat ice cream and bitch about it to somebody on Instagram or Twitter. Like, listen, dude, it's cute. I don't know how much clean you want this to be, but wake the fuck up, man. And like, you can edit it. Wake up. And understand that if you will take the little bit of time, get up at 5:30, get a workout in, read, have some meditation time, pray, associate with different people, create some confidence in you. We could go through a whole ethos of what we do. But the fact is, you could take an hour of your day, 1 hour of your day, you could be intentional about and change your future forever and become the man that the right woman wants, become the husband that kids would be proud, become the father that kids would be proud to have, become the leader in the community that the community needs, become the leader in your church that it needs. You could change your whole surroundings and influence people on such a high level with 1 hour a day of focusing on yourself. And everybody gets it twisted that they got to try to keep up with the Joneses on the Instagram instead of focusing on themselves and looking at the mirror. Most of the dudes that you really want to be like don't even have a social media account.
Yep. No, bro, you're spot on there. And the intentionality, I mean, it couldn't be more honest. I had a conversation with one of my super close friends today, a guy I got to introduce you guys to, a guy named Brad Modrich. And we always go wicked deep. We're on the phone for about 45 minutes. He said, hey, I was having lunch in Pennsylvania. Your name came up. It was, like God told me to call you. And so we just had this like dope conversation. And I shared with him a couple different things. Was the first thing I said, the biggest flex that I'm now aware of is being able to give it all away.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? Like that to me, I had this experience, but last night, zero brag, zero ego. Last night before I went to bed, my wife got a text message from a friend in our church. And she said, hey, this gal's got 5 children and the kids came to church without shoes. And she read me that text and I said, you got to be kidding me. Like, not on my watch. I've got enough resources to fix this. And so I said, hey, give me the ages of those kids or the sizes, or I'll just pick them up tomorrow. We got the sizes this morning. We cruised down and went to the Boise Rescue Mission, who are huge supporters of our nonprofit foundation, and got all this stuff for the children. And my kids were there. And the best part about that was like showing my children that not everything is roses. Not everything is the way they think it is. Because one of the fears I have with these youngsters, you probably see this when you talk to these kids, we want to make sure they think life is as easy as it is, but it's not. Right? Like, it just isn't that easy. We want to go, oh, don't worry, the dishes just magically end up back in the cabinet after you go to bed, right? Like, don't worry, your clothes magically end up back in your closet. Don't worry. Right? But it's very interesting when you start to tell people, hey, check it out, bro. Just because you're 10 doesn't mean you can't have extreme ownership and you can't be intentional. Just because you're 11 doesn't mean that you can't be intentional. And so I told Brad today, I said, man, that to me, aside from all the stuff, right? All the stuff that's out there, the accolades, the nonsense, the BS on social, the biggest flex is giving it all away right now. And I love
100%.
that.
Yep.
100%.
JP, you mentioned something about finding the right woman, finding the gal who you get attracted to. Since we're all married, one conversation I want to have, super uncomfortable, I'm going to put it out there for everybody. I want to talk about sex.
Let's talk about sex, babe.
Yes. I think, and do you tell me I'm wrong? You challenge me. I'm all good with all that. I think that there is this problem with men at present who are afraid to talk about their emotions as well as their fantasies. And so they are going into a world, some could call it porn, some could call it, whatever you want to name, a different form of excitement than what they should be getting from their significant other.
Oh yeah, you're spot on with that, and a lot of that comes from lack of confidence in a lot of situations. And you'd be surprised, you create an environment that's safe for your wife, and you attract your wife. And here's one of the big things. This is one of the reasons that men struggle to do that, is because they stop dating their wives, right? So at the beginning, you are courting the shit out of her, right? You're like, oh man, I'm gonna do everything. I will lay here letting a fart bubble up 5 or 6 different times. My arm's asleep, but I'm not gonna move because she ain't moved yet. Yeah, I can't feel my hand anymore.
Yeah, feel my pinky.
Right. But then we get into this lull, right? Now all of a sudden we got her, we take her for granted, right? So it's just like, hey, like I'm supposed to have it whenever I want it and stuff. Well, then there's no passion, right? The fire goes out. The whole process, same thing with that wheel I was talking about earlier, but it starts going this way. Right. And we're all guilty of it. Like I'm being vocally self-critical when I say this. There's times where I take advantage of my wife as far as not courting her like I should have before. If you want passion in your relationship and you want it to where you can talk about stuff like that, like you've got to continue to date your wife. And Cam is actually one of the people that taught me that. I got to give him credit for that. It was one of the things that he taught me, kind of early on, through our friendship and our journey. But I also think that there's this thing in society, and when you start talking about toxic masculinity, the way that I see that kind of stuff is like where people tell you as a man, you can't express your feelings. You can't be passionate about stuff. And this is something that I've had to learn. I've been hardened over my life and kind of my past. And obviously we don't have time to go into that kind of stuff, but it hardened me a little bit where it made me emotionally disconnected. Well, for the longest time, I was like, I just don't care. It's not that big of a deal. But some great mentors came into my life and exposed some demons that were deep down inside that were actually affecting my entire life, my ability to follow up, my ability to get close to other individuals and create that vulnerability and stuff, because I was hardened because of it. And sometimes you have to face those demons before you can get rid of them, right? Sometimes they're welled up in here and you're telling yourself a lie every single day. Like, I'm good. I don't need that shit. I don't need it. I don't need a hug. Cameron, if you hug me again, I'm gonna kick you in your nuts. Like, don't hug me, dude. It's weird. Like, guys don't
I'll hug you to this damn screen.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. And it's a problem. And if you have that problem, like, you need to fix it, man, because it's normal. We're social creatures. That's how we're supposed to be. Like, and here, let me kind of put a caveat in here. it's not bitching, right? Like you
Right.
should be able to express your emotions, because if you don't, you're going to explode, right? But if you're just walking around bitching about stuff, just like, oh, this sucks, I hate this, I hate that, I'm just so, I'm so over, like that's a whole nother story. So don't take it too far. Well, as Cam says, don't hear what I'm not saying.
That's good.
Sorry, Cam, I had to steal that from you, buddy.
Hey, bro, it's trademarked. I'll get royalties.
I ain't been able to use it yet.
It was perfectly placed. I'll give you that. It was perfect.
Yeah, I'm flattered.
Yeah. Well, what's
Now,
your
if you
take
put it in
on
the wrong
that,
spot, I would have been pissed. Say
what's
again,
your take
Travis.
on that, Cam, with the whole idea right now? I have so many of my friends, and you guys have friends like this too, who are married to beautiful women, right? And when I sit down and they go, golly, you just get so excited, you go home, you talk about Melissa in a certain way, and their wives will say to my wife, goodness, I wish like I talk about Melissa, she's my rock. The woman survived 10,000 hours of me in prison. You know what I mean? And that was easy compared to some of the other stuff we've gone through. And so how do you maintain that pace with everything that's going on, Cam? How do you maintain that love?
Well, and I'll be the first to tell you that I don't do it well often. I've screwed up a lot more than I'd like to. The one thing that I could add to that is that I'm aware of it. And I confront myself with that, and I take responsibility for it. So, we've said this throughout this whole conversation. If you're not willing to take extreme ownership of it, you might as well just forget it anyways. If you're going to keep putting it off on your wife, then it's never going to work anyway. So there's nothing. One of the things I love that Yaki says is there's nothing that you can do to make her any kind of way. You've got to make yourself the best version of yourself. And if she doesn't want that version, then peace. But the truth is she does want that version, because like JP said, you were at least trying to express the best version of yourself when you convinced her to hang out with you. Then you convinced her to commit to you. Then you convinced her to have kids with you. You know what I'm saying? Like you were playing that part already. Your confidence level was very high. I know Josh's wife very well. I've seen your wife, and this is with all respect in the world, but you said it on our podcast, like you outkicked your coverage too. All of us did, right? Any dude that I know that's worth his salt outkicked his coverage. The fact of the matter is we all put ourselves into position through some level of confidence to have the mate that we have. So if we don't continue to do that, and I'll tell you what I've learned a lot over the last couple of years, even, is I let myself get to a spot prior to that where I was maybe just getting frustrated with things. They didn't go the way I wanted to. This wasn't right about our marriage. She's not doing this right. Blah, 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 blah. And I had to get back into this extreme ownership and also get back into leading my wife. The truth is, your wife wants you to lead her. Your significant other wants you to lead her. Okay. That is one of the sexiest things you could do, is be a real man. When you're soft and she feels like she's having to steer the ship, there ain't no wonder she doesn't want to make out with you, bro.
Yep.
Like, it's like, she don't need a girlfriend. She don't need another girl to hang out with. She needs a dude to lead her. I can't tell you how many times my wife has said, when I was maybe not at leading the way I should have been, she's like, I'm asking you to lead right now. And that sucks to hear. You only got to hear that once or twice before you go, I don't ever want her to have to say that again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want her to ever have to think that. So those times when maybe if there's any or doesn't resonate with anyone, but for me, I had to go back to that time where there was a confidence that was bordering on cockiness. When as the way that I met my wife at church, I tracked her down in the parking lot, got her phone number, took her on a date a week later, and married her 3 months after that. Now, if you think that ain't a little bit cocky and bold, right? Like, that was like, I see the one I want, I'm getting it, I'm taking it, right? I still have to act that way today in our marriage 9 years later.
Yeah.
Right. With respect, with love, and with all those other things, I still have to act like, baby, you need to follow me.
Yeah. I love that. Great topics, gents. What goes on at the in-person events? When's the next one? And how do people get a hold of you?
So our next event is coming up August 20th, which is a Saturday. So just 2 weeks away from this Saturday. We're going to have Travis Richey there. You guys have heard of him. He's fucking amazing. We're going to have David Waldy there, and we're going to have Dr. Justin Mosley there, as well as myself and JP. The whole day, it's a 15-hour like immersive transformational day. And I don't just use those words because they're catchy and everybody likes to say them. It's literally a 6 a.m. start of getting down and dirty, we kind of like to leave some things a little bit secret because they're more effective. We're more interested in the results of the dudes that are there, but we will focus on our 6 ethos. Okay. The way we build influential men is actively, and that active stands for association, confidence, tenacity, integrity, vision, and etiquette. So we'll be teaching through that throughout the day. We'll have evolutions that are revolved around that throughout the day. We have a badass hot staff, and I can say that because it's our wives, that are like 3 catered meals that are amazing. We're at a beautiful 8,000 square foot lodge. The scenery and the environment is just perfect. But I'm telling, this is only our 2nd event. Our first event was back in April. It's something we had dreamed about for a long time. And we had a good friend of ours kind of kick us in the butt and get us moving to actually make it happen. And we still go, we said that JP said this to somebody the other day. We're like, it almost went so seamlessly and went so awesome. It was kind of scary. And we believe though, that was just confirmation of this is what you've been supposed to be doing this whole time. So we know how much value is going to be there with Travis and these other guys coming in. But it's going to be.
And if people want to attend, how do they find out more?
Hit us up, man. You can, if you know Travis, if you're seeing this through his network, obviously, reach out to Travis. Travis can connect us. You can always hit us up on Instagram or Facebook at Shepherds of Men. Just DM us there. Shepherds of Men TN, because we're based in Tennessee. Shepherds of Men TN at Gmail is our email account. So reach out to us. We'd love to have a conversation. We typically only open this up to 20 or 25 dudes. We want it to be more of an intimate setting and get real hands-on. So we even like to have a conversation on the front end. This is not like a big net type of thing where it's like, go to this page, sign up, get a ticket. We'll meet you when you get there. We want to meet you before you get there. We want to have a conversation with you on the phone or on Zoom or something before you get there and have a chance to connect and see if this is a good fit for you. Okay. We do qualify people to be there because it's not the right environment for everybody.
I love that. And let's say some people can't make it, travel schedules, whatever it might be. Talk about the other coaching, the one-on-one, 2-on-1 opportunities you guys have.
JP, I'll let you run that.
Yeah. So essentially we have training on a week-to-week basis. So we run an evergreen model. So all the ethos that Cameron just alluded to there are really boiled down to creating a more influential man through character, right? If you look at every one of those are character ethics that you develop as a person. Personality ethics are important. Character ethics are critical. So what we do is we run an evergreen model. That's just a fancy term to say it's a 6-month recycling model of teaching the ethos and then creating more of a detailed training regimen for that, for the basic. And then we create a community within there for men to kind of get around each other that are all growing together, because ultimately pain shared is pain divided. So we understand that everybody, and it's very similar to what you just talked about, Travis, about men being afraid to express, their feelings or whatever it may be, or their struggles that they have. So we create an outlet for that where men that are aspiring to be better can all be together. So that's a little bit more the basic side. You get exclusive access to our podcast where, we have guests on. And I could list a ton of names, and I'm not going to do disservice to any of them by leaving them out, but some high level names. You can go back and listen to our podcast and see some of the individuals that we've had on there, but kind of exclusive access there. And then if you look at the one-on-one, that's kind of the basic, right? So it's a little bit more generalized training for everybody that wants to be a part of it. The one-on-one aspect is Cam and myself actually have an intake process where we bring you in and we find out exactly where you're at right now, where your deficits are. And we actually utilize our ethos to determine where your deficits are, where you want to get better, help you develop a little bit of a vision and purpose in your life. And then we give you a 30-day accelerator and we start working with you day by day. Our breakdown is, here's what you need to do Monday through Friday in week 1. Week 2, this is what you need to do. And then we build you up to where you can sustain a certain amount of tasks that we give you on a daily basis, because we believe that success comes from the little things that you do every day. So we do kind of one-on-one coaching in that aspect, and then have meetings on a regular basis to course correct and make sure that things are moving the way that they're supposed to be moving. And then we help track and hold that individual accountable. So that's kind of where we're at right now with the program. From that aspect. And then, the events are just a matter of getting everybody together and kind of networking. I want to touch on something that Cameron said. Another reason that we actually vet people before we come in is our goal is to make really good guys great guys that are influential in society, because just like we talked about before, for evil to succeed, good men must do nothing. So we want to make good men powerful. And if you're a shithead, we don't want to work with you, man. That's just the fact of the matter. I don't care. This isn't about money. It's about impact. It's about doing what we need to do to make a change in society. So that's where we're very passionate about that.
We'll still tell you about Jesus if you're a shithead right now, but we want to be really intentional about our time at this event. So maybe you can still make it.
I love it. I love it. Guys, gals, whoever's listening out there, JP, Cam, find them at Shepherds of Men on Instagram. You can Google Shepherds of Men. It comes up. It's the top searched there. If you're looking for a group, if you're looking for a coaching program, if you're looking for a mentorship, reach out to these guys, holler at me, and I'll put you in touch with them directly if you're really looking to make an impact in your life and in the world. JP, Cam, love you both, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Love you, brother. Can't wait to see you, man. Thanks for having us on.
Talking a bit.